We all know that for generations now, TAYLORMADE have been pushing the boundaries with driver technology year after year after year. No much more so than this year 2022 with the red-faced TAYLORMADE Stealth Plus driver, the carbon age of driver. But what is the best TAYLORMADE driver ever to be released? Guys, in this video I'm going to put to the test a TAYLORMADE driver which I've seen non-contracted tour pros use this year to try and win millions of dollars. I'm going to put it up against the TAYLORMADE 2022 Stealth Plus with its carbon red face. Guys, get in the comments below, what driver do you think this is? I'm going to tee off with the Stealth Plus to start with, guys. Both these drivers are fitted exactly in my specs, and as you can probably see, it's quite a challenging day weather-wise, which is perfect to test drivers. Right, straight over the corner please, James. No questions asked, do not pass go, do not collect a new driver. Oh yes. One thing I have come to love with this TAYLORMADE Stealth Plus is that audio, that sound, that feedback. Now, I have tested this driver in the studio today against the driver that this video is about. And fair to say, it sounds incredibly different. Guys, the driver I am talking about, I saw Sergio Garcia using, I've seen Brooks Koepka using, I've seen so many golfers using the TAYLORMADE Sim. Guys, this driver is 3 years old and there are golfers still using it to this day. It did replace the TAYLORMADE M5, which was one of my favourite drivers of all time. You'll see the difference is this shape in motion here, so that's designed to get you more club head speed, to get you more distance, and they also moved the weight ports forward. Remember on the M5 they were around the back, but obviously with this big kind of snout they had to move that to the front. Now, when I first saw this, I remember thinking, I was in Australia with Big Al. I thought, what the hell is that? Who, me? Oh, I had a busy day. I wore a wig. And then Big Al got the driver out and it was like, oh, have you seen the new TAYLORMADE driver? Sorry, Al, I had to get that in. I could not believe just how bad, who, me? This isn't you, Al, to the driver. Just how bad this driver really looked. And then you sort of got used to it, like you sort of got the idea about the shelf appeal. You sort of understood it still got twist face, it still got, you sort of understood it still got twist face, it still got the speed injected twist face, but they're now blue instead of red, because on the M5 and M6 they were red. And we've now moved the weight forward because that brings the centre of gravity forward and it's supposed to be a bit more low spinning. Remember, we did have the Sim Max as well, which didn't have the movable weight in there. So let's see just how it does compare still a couple of years later out here on the golf course. I do love the look of this. The white is lovely. Wow. That is such a... And that's going over that. This is going to be very close down there. This could be 1-0 to the retro generation. Is it retro yet? Probably not. And you know, it is a real funny one because the first time I hit the TAYLORMADE Stealth, the carbon face Stealth, I was like, oh, that feels weird. That feels so strange. I don't think I'll ever get used to that. And now going back to hitting a titanium faced TAYLORMADE product from just a couple of years ago. Remember, between the Stealth and this is the Sim 2. It just feels very, very, I don't know. I don't think I like it as much, but I like hitting the Titleist, which is the same. Anyway, let's get down there and see where they are. Now, quite interestingly, guys, I've looked to try and buy one of these. This is actually my old driver I got fitted for a couple of years ago. And if I wanted to buy one, they're still over £200, which for a driver which is a couple of generations old, isn't that cheap, isn't that budget. This may be why. Middle of the fairway into the wind with the Sim and the Stealth. I mean, it is a little bit further, it's more on the angle, I know. Right hand side of the fairway. Head to head, that's, I'm going to struggle to split those. I'm going to give them half a point. In fact, I think, if we're being honest and brutal, we are here, and the Stealth, it's just a tiny bit further up there, isn't it? I'm going to give it the Stealth, guys. That's 1-0. Make sure you do stay tuned right to the end of this video. We're going to go in the studio. I'm going to give you, you're not going to believe the numbers. You are not going to believe the numbers. Let's go on that next tee. Now, this is a tee shot that I absolutely hate, and I have hated for years and years and years, even when I was using the TAYLORMADE Sim. Now, what are we going to hit best here? We are downwind this time, and it's slightly off that way. So we're going to try and hit a fade with these clubs. Then down the last one, we're going to try and hit a draw. Let's see which one can get a little bit further. Now, TAYLORMADE claim that this 60 times carbon twist face is designed to generate more ball speed. More ball speed should generate more distance. One thing I've found with it is I get some really nice low spinning ball flights, and I actually quite like the different colours that they made in this as well. You'll see I've got them set in exactly the same settings, and you'll also see that the Stealth actually keeps that kind of shape in motion as well with the inertia generator at the back. Very, very similar looking on the bottom. However, on top, they couldn't look more different. They look very, very, very different. I actually prefer the white. Come on, TAYLORMADE, are you going to bring back some white for us in 2023? Or are you going to stick with this stealthed out, pardon the pun, black carbon crown, black leading edge, and then a coloured face? I'll go sim first this time, so that there's no people saying that I am being biased, because I couldn't really care less which one wins. I just thought it'd be fun to have a head-to-head after seeing some uncontracted players use these clubs. It always makes me wonder, why would a player who is no longer contract go back to a driver? I know TAYLORMADE had quite a lot of success with this driver. Was this the driver that Tiger used when he won the Masters? Or was it the Sim 2? I can't remember. I think it was this one. And I think he stuck in this for quite a while, didn't he? I know Sergio's back in it now, and I think Dustin Johnson actually went back to it for a brief spell as well. He actually flickered between the standard Sim and the Sim Max, the more forgiving one, and that had a lot of people thinking, well, should I do that? Because if the best driver of the golf ball in the world uses that, should I probably go for more forgiveness? I don't know, but we're going to start it just off the hazard and bring it back on the end. Watch that come back. Nicely into the middle. Oh, that's flown the hazard as well. That was such a bad strike. You'll see that that was out of here, and I actually tested some missed strikes as well in the studio when testing for numbers. Wait till you see them. Wait till you see them. Funny how it's actually got a totally different head shape as well. The Stealth is a bit rounder, a bit more bulbosome, a bit bigger. I've got red on for a reason today, guys. Come on, same shot. See how they do. Straight away, totally different ball flight. A lot higher, and that's middle of the fairway as opposed to left side of the fairway. So again, numbers coming soon. And you know, that really is the ball flight that keeps me coming back to the TAYLORMADE Stealth Plus after testing different drivers. That really high, nice piercing ball flight that's probably spinning around 2000. Ooh, I played Harbour Town Links as well with the Sim. That was probably my favourite ever golf course. So nice memories, it's all floating back to me. Liam Harrison nearly got us kicked off on the first hole. So two very similar ball flights there. One was a little bit higher in the Stealth. I do find the Stealth quite easy to launch, to be fair. I know a lot of people have struggled to get the Stealth launching up into the air. Guys, get in the comments below if you tried the Stealth and one of those people who just didn't get on with it. But two fades nevertheless. I wanted to start those both on the left hand side. I wanted to see them both come back, and that's exactly what they did do. If I was a betting man, I'd say the Stealth has won that just based on the strike. Obviously, this is human testing, it's not machine testing. If I just hit one better, then I'm going to hit one better, aren't I? But if the Sim does keep up with that Healy strike that I showed you, I mean, that's like outrageously good. And you can get one for £200, which I know isn't cheap, but it's half the price of the current one. I honestly can't believe, first of all, how many seagulls there are around. We're nowhere near the coast, guys, but also that is the Sim ball just up near the 150 marker there, worst zoom ever. In the middle of the fairway is the TAYLORMADE Stealth Plus. Again, very like those numbers, if we can talk numbers, that distance wise, I'm sorry, but that is very, very, very close again, isn't it? If we go right to the side of this and go across, again, are we saying there's like a yard in it? And that totally depends on how the ground is there as opposed to here, because we're near that. I mean, just two very, very, very good drives, aren't they? Let's see if I can smash a draw down that next hole, guys. Then we're going to jump in the simulator room. We're going to look for numbers, and I can't get my words out. I've been promising you that they're interesting. Stay tuned. Okay, so the Stealth didn't have much run out either. Yeah. Okay, so a huge factor you think about when buying a driver is, what about those pesky holes? What about the 18th hole when I'm under pressure? Will that driver deliver for me? Will I get the distance? Will I hit the fairway? And will I shoot a good score? Now, a lot of you may be thinking, first of all, why are you throwing a white head cover on the floor when it's really muddy? But I don't know either. But what has changed in James's setup from the Sim to the Stealth Plus in 3 years? Well, to be honest, absolutely nothing. You'll see they're both 9 degree, both with the weight set at neutral. In actual fact, both the hazardous smoke, whatever version they have at the moment, it's the RDX in low spin 60 gram 6.5 with 3.5 degrees of torsional stiffness. So realistically, you could say that I've not got any better, but you could say I've not got any worse. Weather is getting worse now. Let's see if we can play a nice big high draw down the Tiger line on this 18th hole. And then, I mean, to be honest, the Stealth's 2-0 up, isn't it? But studio numbers. Also get in the comments below, what do you think makes players like Garcia use this driver just because they're not getting paid to use the latest one? Does he hit it further? Is he just more confident in hitting the fairway with it? Or did he just not be bothered really at all? Right. That all day, times 2, down the fairway, yes please. Now I know this may be a stupid comment because these look totally different, but the biggest difference here is the feel, is the sound, is that audio feedback. If you prefer the carbon, guys, go back and hit the old Sim 2, the old Sim, because it really does sound totally different. You see, that's just launched lower again. It's not a bad line, it's going to be in the fairway, but that's one thing I did find when I was in the studio. The mishits weren't quite matching up to that of the Stealth. Guys, there's no better time now than to jump in the studio because it is hammering it down and tell you exactly what I found when I tested potentially TaylorMade's best ever driver, and there's a reason that I've said that to this year's current model. Let's take a look. So I jumped in the studio here at Woolley Park Golf Club, and for me, one of the huge differences between the Stealth and the Sim is the feel and the sound. Yes, they look totally different, but remember, this is only a 3-year-old driver, so I wouldn't expect to see massive differences here. In fact, I honestly think that this could be the best driver TaylorMade ever made, even though I really loved the M5. You can see here that a couple of good shots, a couple of them finishing near enough on the line. For me, dispersion is equally as important as distance when looking at drivers. So what are the numbers saying for the 3-year-old Sim? You can see we actually got more ball speed with the Sim, which is incredible. And the Sim was also launching 2 degrees lower, which is strange because I had them exactly the same setup. Spin very similar. However, the Stealth did carry it just 4 yards further. So realistically, not a lot in it and closer than you probably would expect. The one thing that I think did let the Sim down, if you look at the top right of the screen, was where I hit those Healy shots that were kind of 5 yards behind where the Stealth was. So maybe the Stealth is a bit more forgiving on off-centre strikes. And so guys, there you go. How interesting is that? More ball speed with the TaylorMade Sim. Now I stood there and hit loads of balls, as you can see, and for me the couple of shots that just let the Sim down was when I hit that last shot here, that little kind of Healy one that went a little bit low. It was pitching kind of 5 to 10 yards shorter than the same shot with the Stealth, but all in all, more ball speed over the array of shots that I hit, just spinning a little bit more, which is interesting because that's not exactly what we've seen out here in the golf course. So that just goes to prove that testing out on the course as well as testing inside does pay off when looking at buying a new driver. For me, is the Sim better than the Stealth? No, probably not. Looking at the shots of it out here, it's just edged it every time, even with mishits, even with bad shots. In the studio, you can see it went a little bit further, even though we didn't get as much ball speed, because consistency-wise it was there. But for the price of buying a second-hand Sim, I think I'd be there. I think that would be me if I was trying to buy a great driver on a bit less of a budget. Guys, thank you so much for watching. See you at the same time tomorrow. Bye! Who, me?